Oh yeah, DJ Akademiks. DJ Akademiks. I'm gonna need y'all to get a cold brew, a cold can or something, OE or something old school, because we're gonna be here for a while, right? I wanna talk about your boy DJ Akademiks and what he said about the pioneers of the culture and why it's so goofy, right? And I'm gonna give y'all some context of what's really going on with the situation because it's way more to it than the face value of what Akademiks said about the pioneers of the culture that we love called hip hop. So DJ Akademiks, famous for his rants on Twitch, right? Went on to say in one of his rants, so what you need to know about Akademiks is he goes on Twitch and sometimes he's drinking Henny or whatever alcoholic elixir that he wants to fool with that day. And he says whatever he wants to say because he feels it's a safe zone. And he got a lot of people that goes over there to watch him and hear him rant and do this and that and the third, right? First of all, when you say that the pioneers, and I don't want to paraphrase. I want to say the exact quote because the quote itself is so disrespectful, right? I want to get the exact quote because the problem with it is because here it is. Oh no, he's talking about this is the double down. You know what? I don't even need the quote. Basically, Akademiks basically said a lot of the older cats that be talking about they invented hip hop. Mind you, they took this out of context. It was in the middle of a rant, right? That they invented hip hop. Be looking old and dusty, and he'd be like, I'd be like, "Are you sure you invented this? Because you look broke." And the clip cuts off. And I need you to understand why this was said. So what it is it's not just, it's ignorant and arrogant and all that, but I want to tell you what it really, really is. This is a dude whose feelings is hurt, right? This is an emotional dude. And I've been first one to tell you, I don't have a problem with DJ Akademiks, but I'm about to let it go right now because I need it to be clear what's happening, right? This is a dude, and this not even trying to be funny. This a dude who grew up pretty much in the basement, right? It don't sound like when you look at his life, he was really out here in these hip hop streets, right? And I'm just keeping it, and that don't make you hip hop or not hip hop, right? But you have to be out here with the people to understand what this is about. Ak is a college graduate. If I'm not mistaken, Ak has a degree, right? I don't think I'm making these things up. Ak is a straight up college kid. Like a real degree, like biochemistry. I don't know what it is, but I know this guy doesn't have to be a YouTuber. He never had to be a YouTuber. This guy could have done a lot of other things in a corporate structure, right? And he says he really DJ'd parties and things of that nature. But I'm just going to be honest with you. A lot of times the DJ is a DJ because their social skills aren't as good as the other people's. So they'll rather sit back and play the music for everybody else in the party than actually be in the party, right? I'm just keeping it a buck with you. I'm just trying to show you where this is going. So this is a dude that I feel like wasn't as socially inept as most other people who are out here getting it. As a matter of fact, I would go so far as to say Ak wasn't really getting a lot of things that he's getting now until he became DJ Akademiks from YouTube that was popular for talking about Chirac and Drake and these things. So for lack of a better word, I'm going to say Ak is a nerd, right? And I'm not saying, listen, you got to understand, none of this is to be mean. I'm trying to paint a picture of a dude that's scorned, why he says these things. So we have a guy who is a nerd, who's not doing as much as the average rapper that's really out here doing these things. He's out in the streets, he's doing whatever, he's having a blast, right? Ak not that guy, right? That's why he never pretends to be that guy. This is the guy, he's telling you, I'm going to call the police if you try to bother me. I'm going to let the police know. I'm going to snitch right off the rip. He tells you these things, which is whatever, right? Because he's not that guy. And Ak's way of Ak didn't even show his picture when he started his YouTube pages. Ak would talk behind a screen, a wall, a video. You never knew what he looked like. You had to scurry around, and there was just one random picture of Ak for years. One picture of Akademiks that you could find. Because he wasn't showing his face. This guy was hiding behind the camera and saying whatever he wanted to say. He did the war in Chirac, which a lot of people had a problem with it. I'm like, I don't have no problem with it because these dudes are really doing this. They're sending him the information, he's putting it on a video, and it's blowing up. And they obviously want to see it because a lot of the thugs in the videos were sending him information for him to talk about. So the people that's upset with the war in Chirac really don't understand what was going on. Those people loved that attention he was giving them, right? But what Ak really wanted was fame and money. And Akademiks equates success to fame and money. Right? Akademiks was born in a world where, even as hip hop, in hip hop, you were revered if you had fame and money. No matter how corny you were, if you could accumulate a certain amount of fame and a certain amount of money, you became cool. Lot of dudes in rap was lame until they got that fame and they got that money. And I'm just going to keep it a buck. Ak was one of them dudes. So when he started to get the fame and the money, the criticism, which always going to come from when you start to get fame and money started to come. They were like, who is this guy behind this computer screen getting all this pub for reporting on hard street stuff from Chirac and everything else with hip hop? And as he blew up, he started to get mad criticism because his content was being consumed by younger people. Let me say that again. It was consumed by younger people, heavily consumed. So much to the point when Ak would drop a video, you still had the people going first in the comments, first, right? Young people. So it was a young man's game, right? Now, Ak ain't no young kid. They saying Ak the voice of the youth. Ak is 31 years old. Now, I don't know to you if that's young, but that's like you're really, really getting up there, right? So he's 31 years old at this point. Now, he's starting to get this criticism because of the things he's saying and doing. I personally used to watch Ak all the time. As soon as the video would drop, I would watch it because I found it entertaining. Ak was rocking with XXXTentacion. He was rocking with Tekashi after a while. This is after he came from behind the camera. But before he came from behind the camera, Ak was this mysterious guy who said anything. He called it satire. He said anything that he wanted to say. Was very harsh in some ways. It was very rude in some ways. In some ways it was ignorant, but it was funny. And in a lot of ways, people got a kick out of it. Some rappers even became closer to him just so he would talk about them because it always blew you up in the world's eye, in the public eye, you would become more popping if Akademiks was talking about you one way or another. I truly believe, in a perverse kind of way, Meek Mill really flourished from all the negative commentary he received from Akademiks. I believe his career, he owes a heap of that career to Akademiks talking about him. I really, 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 really do. Right? So as Ak began to blow up, he only seemed to relate to younger rappers. He became a person who only talked about younger rappers, and he got the job on Everyday Struggle with Joe Budden, which I was happy. I was like, I want to see this show because nobody really had ever seen this guy. Right? When he signed the Everyday Struggle with Joe Budden, nobody had seen this guy yet. I remember the trailer, and they were showing him walking from the back because they still know, they was like, people really don't know what you look like. So we're going to play that up until the freaking first episode because no one knew who this guy was. And when we finally started seeing, oh, this is what he looked like? Okay. And it became a thing where it was from his head to his toe. People had comments every day about that Everyday Struggle show. The show blew up. It was the hottest thing online. Akademiks became the number one go-to, wrongfully so, for hip-hop. It was to the point Joe Budden is sitting there screaming at the top of his lungs because Aks sounds so clueless about hip-hop culture. It was clear that he was only in it for the flash and the bang, right? If you was an artist, Aks didn't want to hear your music unless you sold a certain amount of records, unless you were a certain level of hot. If you were a year removed from rapping to Aks, you were washed. If you didn't have a current record right at the moment, you were washed, right? It was either are you hot or you washed. It was no middle ground. There was no respect for what you did in the past. It was you're washed. Why are we talking about you? It was the hottest, it was the harshest level of hip hop. And yeah, we've always had a degree of that in hip hop, right? It wasn't pervasive, but it was there. Like we would be like, oh, that guy, he fell off, he washed up, da-da-da. We always looked at things in a way where if someone wasn't at the top, we kind of side-eyed them like, oh yeah, you out of here. But we still gave them that level of respect. With Aks, it wasn't like that. It was this whole young mentality, so that they old, we young, and their time is done and we here. And that pissed a lot of people off. That pissed Joe Budden off. Joe Budden had veins coming out of his neck screaming on Aks because it was clear that Aks wasn't out here really in the trenches of this hip-hop stuff. Aks got his hip-hop from the internet and what other people were saying was hot and whatever the labels was pushing. Aks got his sense of what hip-hop was what the corporations pushed on people. Right? It's just a fact. Do your research. Akademiks' level of hip-hop knowledge was based on what corporations and what videos blew up online, what the kids was listening to. That was his level of what hip-hop was. And by the time the kids got hip-hop, we saw they stripped it down to the core of it, the raw of it. What I'm saying is not in a good way. They peeled away all of the substance and they stripped it down to a few things. Wearing gold chains made you hot. Having tattoos made you cool. Right? Being not that bright when you tried to talk and tried to say your words made you a mumble rapper, which made you even cooler, right? Stop me when I'm wrong, please. Please, delete in the comments if I'm wrong, right? It became to the point, if you were a shirt off, tatted up, skinny dude with dreads that had a herringbone or some kind of obnoxious chain on and had a pretty decent beat, you probably was going to go far. You could have a hot beat, and I'm going to give you an example. Panda. How much of that do you know what he's saying in that rap of Panda? But I tell you what, when Panda came on, the entire place went nuts. And even the old people had to be like, I don't really like his rapping, but this song is fire. The beat is nuts. Old heads, old and young alike, same club dancing to the same song. That's what became the norm. Inaudible lyrics, really hard beats, very 808 driven, right? Saying next to nothing, right? And that's all Akademiks seem to push, were these lean drinking, very, very unaudible. They would do an interview and you still wouldn't know what they were talking about. You can read their Twitter. If you can get through a Kodak Black tweet and tell me every word that he's writing in there, I'll give you $100. I don't believe you. I'm talking about a long tweet, not one of these good morning guys. No, I'm talking about when he's going off about something and he's trying to write it all. Or if he does one of these videos where he's talking, God forbid, right? And there's nothing wrong with Kodak. I like Kodak. I like some of his stuff. I like his appearance on Kendrick's album. I like it. But good luck trying to watch Kodak go live. If Kodak go live and start talking for 5 minutes and you can tell me everything he's saying, I owe you $100. So this is Aks world. He doesn't post about old school stuff. There is no need. His fans don't care about that. They don't want to know that KRS-One is on his 20th album. They don't care. Who is KRS-One? Who is Rakim? They don't know, don't care. Right? They want to hear about A Boogie with the hook. They don't care about none of that you're talking. Young people stuff. They want somebody to cater to them, and that's exactly what he did. There was no sense of history on Akademiks' page. There is no sense of, oh, this is the person who paved the way. None of that. Akademiks is giving you the first week sales. Akademiks is giving you the rumors of somebody that's popping right now, right? And this began to rub older artists the wrong way. It became a thing where they were like, this guy has no clue of the culture, but he's the head of it. He can put out one tweet and swing the entire culture that way. Well, what they felt was the culture. Because I personally don't feel like Akademiks has his finger on the pulse of the culture. He has his finger on the pulse of a lot of young kids. But that don't mean the culture, right? And as you can see, Akademiks has zero respect for the culture when you could call somebody Dusty, who paved the way for you to have a damn YouTube channel talking about hip hop and making $1 million. Akademiks has a podcast right now where he interviews people. Not one of them people are old school rappers. As a matter of fact, you have to be almost popping in the last 6 months to get on that show. unless you are a personal friend to some reason. I don't even know how an old school person could be friends with Akademiks. I don't know how you make that connection in the first place. I say all that to say the elder people have not been kind to Akademiks, which drove him even further away. He knew what I tell you in the beginning. Akademiks has a college degree, right? Which means he has a level of intelligence. It's not street intelligence, higher than that. So when you understand metrics and things of that nature, you can zero in on what your audience is going to be. And once he understood, my audience is not going to be wanting to hear about Mr. Cheeks and the Lost Boys. They want to hear about Cardi B and Drake right now. They want to hear about Migos and XXX. They do not want to hear about the youngsters and Rakim and Big Daddy Kane. They don't care who that is. Nori, on the other hand, he makes his living off of bringing these old school people onto his platform and giving them a platform. The thing about the younger artists, they don't need a story. We'll sit and listen to Irv Gotti or Memphis Bleak or Fat Joe. We'll sit and listen to them for 3 hours because the stories are fascinating and they have a lot to say because they're elder statesmen, right? These young people don't need that much time. They don't even have that much to say, to be honest with you. And they don't want to say most of it because they're scared to mess up the image. So what you have is a lot of younger people going up, not really saying much or nothing, going back and forth with that, just being young, just saying anything they want to say, really not giving you much, just building their brand and he's building his, right? So for all that, guess who has an issue with him? Our older people. Nothing he does is geared towards you. Almost a matter of fact, you feel disrespected. Aks has several public beefs with people over his platform. And what that has done, in my opinion, was made Ak more agitated and more angry. The more he gets suspended and things of that nature from these platforms or whatever, and he gets beef with it gets another notch in his belt of being angry. Look at the Chrissy Teigen situation. He called her a bitch straight out of nowhere, just on some other stuff, right? Everything he could say about this woman, so angry, so mad. And this is where we are with this Dusty. If you would have really heard the full content, I guarantee you, it wasn't just about all hip-hoppers that are old. Somebody out there, it's a couple people he really zeroing in on with that statement. He'll never say it. It's not a blanket statement, but it hurt. It hit everybody, right? What you have to understand is this is a hurt guy. Somebody in this industry hurt this guy several times. So for him to say, when you see these guys, they dusty, they look broke. Somebody he's talking about. It ain't just every rapper that's not what it is. It's somebody that hurt this man behind the scenes, right? And it came out as all of them dusty. So I want to talk about that. So first thing first, this is to say that all of these rappers that he's blasting are not dusty, right? All of these rappers that he is posting the first week sales are rich. Nothing could be further from the truth. A lot of these rappers are still going to jail for selling crack because they have no money. A lot of these rappers are wearing other people's chains. These younger rappers that he's standing up for right now. You can get a money phone. You can get everybody's money in a room and make a phone to make yourself look like you're popping, right? Akademiks just told us that PNB Rock was struggling to get his self back in the limelight because he had got dropped from his label and nobody was rocking with him. But from the outside looking in, this guy looked like he had it all. And the gold that they went to rob him for, he had that for years. Well, like he just bought that yesterday. So what I'm saying is, this image of being rich, if you live your life basing it around, I am rich, so I made it in rapping or whatever, that is a sad way to look at your life, because most of these guys not going to be rich in 5 years, right? And the fact that he's equating looking dusty to someone's relevancy in hip-hop means he has zero idea what hip-hop is about. Yeah, you can get paid. A lot of people got paid. A lot of people got a lot of money from rap. And a lot of the guys that got a lot of money from rap ain't rappers. A lot of these guys sitting up in skyscrapers and big offices sitting on a big bag of dough from a whole lot of rappers, right? That's the guy that's got all the money that you're saying is this and that, and he's the one that did all the great business deals. Because Ak responded to this backlash, and he doubled down, apparently, whatever double down means, saying you guys didn't do your business right. And I've defended Ak before in different situations, but this is the most ignorant and arrogant thing. This guy, I don't know if he's ever going to be able to come back from this. And the problem with this is, the one thing Ak doesn't understand is the same way he can be put up there, he can be taken down. And see, the problem with this is Ak is literally rich off of YouTube, right? Talking about rap. Rap was created by these people that you're knocking down by saying you look dusty, you look broke. Yeah, because they got robbed, right? A lot of them got robbed. It was no industry. You were able to walk into a 35, 45-year-old industry that a lot of them got burnt for, right? You're laughing at them. They was in the alleys fighting to be number one top dog in this rap stuff when there was no money in it. They started rapping so they would stop the gang fights. They started breakdancing so they could stop the gang fights, right? Trying to do something else because people was getting killed in the streets fighting for different gangs. So they started breakdancing and competing against each other to try to do it non-violently. Breakdancing in the subways. It wasn't to make you rich or to get rich in the future. They did it because they loved it. Now, the reason you can come along and say you look broke is because corporations got involved who hated it at first, and now it's the number one genre in the world, so they're going to spend money every kind of way, and they're going to look at the new people first and give them the bag. And the fact that you can sit there and come in and in 5 years have a big mansion and be famous from being on YouTube talking about rap, you really should be talking to these older men about how can I help you because you helped, the way you helped me be rich, right? Most people go buy their dad a house. They go buy their mom a house. The person who, when they didn't have nothing, was the reason they got something. But not Akademiks, right? Just like going back to a slave and saying, my nigga, you broke. Look at all this money I got. That's like going back to a civil rights activist from the 60s who wasn't marching for money. They wasn't marching for fame. They was marching so you can have a better life and you can get on YouTube and you can make $1 million. And you can go into any restaurant, you can get any type of situation, I guarantee you some of the benefits you've gotten in your life, schooling, whatever, came from one of them people getting their head bust open by a cop when they were marching or getting bit by a dog, which they never got paid for. But you benefited from that. That's like going back to one of them, looking at them, right? Because they still alive. A lot of them people that marched in the 60s, they still alive, bro. And some of them, most of them are not rich. They did not get rich, but we benefited. We benefited a lot. And that's like going into one of their face and looking them up and down and saying, you really was a civil rights activist? I can't tell because you look broke. Right? It's spitting in the face of your elders, bro. And I get it. The new thing now is to be arrogant. The new thing now is to be ignorant. The new thing now is to be a mumble rapper of whatever you want to call a person who doesn't care about things. They just figure the hottest thing right now is who got robbed, who got shot. This rap generation right now isn't talking about anything. And I'll be the first to tell you, Akademiks really not talking about anything. Akademiks platform is it's all glitter and gloss. It has zero substance, right? Akademiks doesn't talk about anything with black justice. Doesn't even want to have the conversation. He's not talking about reproductive rights. He's not talking about basic economics, like nothing. Absolutely nothing. The most vapid personality in the business and is proud of that. We low-key should be embarrassed to get upset about it. If we understand what is really happening. I told you in the beginning, this is a nerd that is trying to be cool. Right? And it is, nothing's wrong with being a nerd, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I am a nerd to a degree, right? But I was out in these streets and I was rapping. I was going to seminars, shows, ciphers. I was out here rapping off the head, off the dome, beatboxing, breakdancing, all of that. And not once was I out there back in the day looking for money to do it. And someone who criticizes somebody who didn't get paid from it is a goofball because you weren't looking for money when you were really in love with the shit. The money just happened to come as people started to learn more ways to get paid from it. And a lot of them got burnt, as these corporations often do. As the way Complex was burning him and allegedly Joe Budden, right? The corporation's going to eat first. So to make fun of somebody for a corporation burning them for their money is laughable to me. And for a person who clearly was never in this culture, like you can be a DJ that knows records. The average person, I can walk down this street and I can bump into 10,000 people and all 10,000 of them could have a playlist that they like. That's a DJ. So just telling me you was a DJ doesn't make you part of this culture. I'm just keeping it a buck. A real DJ would never disrespect the pioneers of music. Not a real DJ. A troll internet personality, yeah, they would do that all day. There's not a DJ in the world that would disrespect his elders. And that's exactly what Akademiks did. He disrespected his elders. LL Cool J had to come out, and I salute LL. He had to come out and pretty much check Akademiks, and he refused to even say his name, and I'm glad he didn't. Don't give him no light, because the people LL talking to don't even know who Akademiks is, to be honest with you. So what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to leave you with this. Don't equate Akademiks' ability to make money from fools to him being any kind of gatekeeper in hip-hop. Let me say that again. Akademiks has a hustle. His brand is to cater to fools who are enamored with first week sales and who's banging who, right? And who's beefing with who. That's what they're enamored with. They go to that page for that all day, every day. They have zero interest in anything of substance. So I say to you again, do not equate Akademiks' ability to generate income from fools on a regular basis with being a gatekeeper. Akademiks cannot stop one album from coming out. Not even one. I don't feel like we need to acknowledge certain things. Just like Irv Gotti telling Nori he should put young people on Drink Champs. We don't even need to acknowledge that. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds dumb. As soon as you get a platform to give elder statesmen their flowers, rightfully so, and build them into the legends that they deserve to be, you want to throw young, goofy, mumble rap kids on there that's high off lean and whatever. You want to throw them on there and have them say what? Exactly. Please let me know. So again, do not equate Akademiks' ability to generate money in a YouTube algorithm with being a gatekeeper of this culture. We respect our elders and pioneers to this day, rich or poor, broke or not. We respect them. Hip hop going to respect you. All that other stuff for the internet and all that other stuff for the goofies, you can have it. Because the simple fact calling an elder Dusty is someone we don't even need to acknowledge. I didn't listen to rap because someone was rich. I don't find a person to be anything of importance just because they're rich. Right? And there's rappers who went on to do other things outside of rap that made them wealthy and never returned to the microphone. But I'm not going to revere them for that either. I'm going to revere a pioneer for what they pioneered. I'm going to leave it at that. Akademiks, I have no beef with Akademiks. I know he says goofy stuff and doubles down and he's hurt though. I have no problem with a man being hurt, but I am going to respond when you saying some goofy stuff. Our elders are not dusty. They ain't rich, and that's what we need to do. Figure out how to get them what they're due. Because there's a lot of basketball players from back in the day who ain't getting what they were due either. I guess they dusty and old, and they washed, and because these guys getting these $1 and $200 million deals, somebody from 20 years ago that was way nicer than them that got nothing right now, I guess they bombs and washed up, and there's nothing we could do, right? My name is Charles Brown. I'm going to catch y'all on that flip side. Get in the comments, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit that notification bell. Let me know what you think about this situation. I'm going to catch y'all on the flip side. Peace.
CLB.